All right. So lecture 17, pass by value. All this means is when you call a method, a copy of your actual parameters are passed to your form parameters. What do I mean by that? So we just talked about arrays. They're a list of same type data. So a list of integers, list of doubles, list of strings, list of characters. Then we have methods, which allow organization of code, the reuse of code, and methods contain a signature with formal parameters. So here's our main method, and those are our formal parameters. Okay, that's our main method signature, and our formal parameters are the ones inside the parentheses. Pass by value, all that means is when I call a method, a copy of my actual parameters are passed to my method as the formal parameters. It's a copy, okay? That means that the actual parameters and the formal parameters are completely independent of one another. If I change the actual parameters after I call the method, it doesn't change what's happening in the method. If I change the formal parameters inside the method, it doesn't change the actual parameters. So what do I mean by that? Let's say, for example, I have this right here, right? We were just talking about points. We have 3 games right now. Points scored in game 1 is 15. Points scored in game 2 is 52. Points scored in game 3 is 34. Then I calculate the average with the method passing in those points. So those are my actual parameters. And where my method is declared are my formal parameters. Okay. Actual and formal. Actual are the ones I'm actually passing. The formal are the ones that are in the method signature and the variables I use inside the method. So down here, I'm using my formal parameters, not my actual. All right. So when I call the method calculate average, I'm passing in the values of points scored 1, points scored 2, and points scored 3. And a copy of those values are made and stored into my formal parameters. So now num1 equals 15, num2 equals 52, num3 equals 34, just like up here. And remember, order does matter. So if I swap these, num1 and num2 would have different values as well. Num1 would then equal 52. Num2 would then equal 15 if I swap these two right here. All right, so let's add some code to this. Down here, num1 equals 50. See, I changed the value of num1 down to my method. Well, that doesn't actually change points scored 1, right? Although I called the method with this, points scored 1 still equals 15, right? Num1 down in my method changes, however. So that's what I'm talking about. Points 1 scored and num1 are completely independent of one another. There's just a copy of the value of points scored 1 passed to our method. They're still independent of one another. If I change it in one place, they don't affect each other, right? Once I pass in the variable, they're completely independent. Same thing goes for arrays. It's a copy of the array. A whole copy of your array is passed to the method, not the array itself. So we have this instead, we have points scored equals new int, and I literally declared the values of our array. Then I call the method calculate average on my array, right? Int numbers, which is what the array takes, is an array of integers called numbers. That's my formal parameters, and these are my actual parameters, right? Actual parameters, formal parameters. But when I pass in those actual parameters, a copy is made, right? Not the actual array itself. When I call the method, calculate average, point scored is passed, and a copy is made of point scored. So just like point scored at index 0 equals 15, index 1 equals 52, index 2 equals 34, numbers at index 0 will equal 15, so on and so forth. Whatever your array is, a co-copy will be made and passed to the method. So let's add some code to this example. So you see down here, I'm changing numbers at index I equal to I times 5. Well, when I do that, it doesn't change my point scored array at all. It doesn't affect it at all. It's just changing the numbers array in my method. So again, it's a copy. It's not the actual array. So why am I covering this? Why does that matter? Obviously, it's a copy. It doesn't affect itself. Well, there's something called, I'm sorry, let me go back so you can let this digest a little bit. Point scored again, there's a copy of it made and passed to the method. It's all passed by, it's called pass by value, meaning the value is passed, not the data itself. It's just a copy of it. All right, so now why am I talking about this? So in other programming languages, they use something called pass by reference, which is a reference to the actual memory location of that variable. Meaning, if I change that variable in my method, it does affect the actual parameter. It does change it. Why would they do this? Why not just do everything passed by value? Because in some programming languages, and depending on how big your programming language, your program is, you may need pass by reference where if I have a huge array, an array of several megabytes in size, copying that to a method, doing whatever I want to do in a method, and then returning that array again takes a lot of memory. Pass by reference, I can just pass the reference of that array, change the values in the array, and it changes the original one as well. So for example, in my PhD class, I'm building a virtual world, essentially a game, right? A 3D world using a game engine. I have a lot of large data that I'm manipulating in that game. I'm using C++ for that. So with that being said, I wouldn't want to copy everything over and over again just to use a simple method. I use pass by reference. However, that does require you to do a little bit more memory management because you can corrupt your entire program and your PC because you have access directly to memory. Whereas Java, you don't have access to memory, so everything is passed by value in Java. Okay? Any questions about pass by value?